right, Discord's coming in. Welcome back, everyone, to ASGC Guest Night, Community Night here. Unfortunately, Amir is traveling this week, so he won't be here tonight, but we are excited because we do have some special guests in the house here. My first guest is my first co-host. This will be her first time co-hosting one of the community nights, and I picked Sabrina because she is an aspiring artist, and I figured it would be a great co-host for her to be here. So, for those who don't know me, I am Justin Williams, the lead moderator at ASGC. We're ex-recruiter for Riot Games, ex-recruiter for Blizzard. And Sabrina, tell us who you are.
Hello, I'm Sabrina. I'm a graphic designer and character designer. I'm passionate about video games. I stream on YouTube. I love gacha games, horror games, racing games, all types of games. So I'm really happy to be here. So thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, let's show some love for Sabrina for first time co-hosting here. And then speaking of first time, we have our first gaming artist on our events here. So I wanted to bring on a very special friend that I used to be in their Discord community where she was on staff, and that's how I met Art Amazon, or Brittany Hermann here. And Brittany, tell us a little bit about who you are.
What's up? My name's Brittany. I've been in the game industry for a pretty long time. I do a lot of UI art and illustration. I've done concept art, 3D stuff, whatever the game needs. I can probably do it. I play a ton of games. My favorites are horror games and shooters. And I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah, and so I wanted to piggyback on that story just a little bit. So with her Discord name, Art Amazon, and used to play this mobile game during COVID called Disney Sorcerer's Arena. And I was like, okay, we're all at home. What are we doing? And most of us, what do we do at that time? We were playing video games. I think it was the highest sales for Nintendo Switch, highest sales for Genshin Impact, all those great games. But I was playing Disney Sorcerer Arena, and that's how I met Art Amazon. And I would love to get into her artwork here and show you some of the pieces, and we can talk about portfolios, exciting stuff that you guys have been wanting to see here. But really curious, what made you, I love hearing everyone's story, how they got into gaming. Like, how did you get into gaming? Did you always wanted to be in gaming? Did you kind of just fell into gaming? Like, what was your first gaming studio? Talk us a little about your story. Walk us through.
Okay, sure. I've always played games. My dad is probably the reason for that, because he was really into arcades and gaming back then. So when consoles started coming out, our first console was the Sega Genesis, because he was really into sports and racing. So I didn't grow up with like Nintendo adventure RPG type games. I grew up with shooters and Mortal Kombat and like really violent games. And that's what I would play with my dad. So actually what got me really excited was about art in games is from Diablo.
Diablo 1?
The first Diablo.
Wow.
Because as a kid, you'd read all the little instruction booklets on the way home and stuff, right? You're in the car, you got your little instruction book, because you can't play it, so you're in the car getting excited to play the games, right? And you see all these little illustrations in the books and stuff. And I always drew out of those books, and that's what got me excited about it. And I just knew that I didn't know how to get into games, but I knew that I wanted to work on games. And I don't even know how I ended up in games, but my first studio was a local studio in Sacramento. and they were at a job fair at my college, and
okay.
I met my first boss there. They were doing like they had a little setup of the games they were doing, and it was like a military sim first person shooter that they were making for the army, I think. So I met them that way, and he gave me his business card, and I called him up and I harassed them for a long time until they said, okay, let's hire her. and that's how I ended up in the game industry.
So that's cool. That's cool. So it was at your college fair.
Yeah.
And so it was an actual gaming studio, or it wasn't a gaming studio?
They were a gaming studio, and I was surprised because I didn't think there was anything in Sacramento.
Yeah. Up north.
Yeah.
Usually in LA, Irvine.
Yeah, usually Bay Area or LA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's cool. So I guess, you can go to your local college. You never know who the
you
hiring
never
manager is
know.
gonna be.
All sorts of indie studios and all sorts of stuff going on.
Yeah. So did they hire you on as a artist or like an intern?
Yeah, back then it was just artist. We didn't really have a lot of specializations because this was
artist.
2005, I think. I was fresh out of college, and yeah, they just needed artists. So I signed up and they brought me on, and I was doing all sorts of weird art stuff. They were working on DVD games back then.
I remember those.
So that's what, like, the first console I guess I worked on was like this educational device that played DVDs for kids, and you'd have like an input device, and it would talk to your DVD player. So I was making Thomas the Tank Engine, a game for Thomas, and we had to splice up video from different footage of the show and make it work in a game.
So cool. Sabrina, it looked like you were about to ask a question.
Yes. I'm looking at your art station right now.
Ooh.
And I'm wondering, could you walk us through your process for designing the inventory system in Echoes of Elysium? What were some of the key considerations and challenges when creating it?
Let me bring it up here.
Well, let's check it out together.
Oh, okay. That's even better because I don't know where I put it. Okay.
Oh, you talking about this banner right here?
Okay. If you click on my face, I think, because I have it hidden off of the website. I got the Nastica ArtStation link at the top under my face there. Okay, then if you scroll down or go to UI. Okay, yeah, there's some Echoes of Elysium there. Up a little bit. There's an inventory system.
Oh, yeah, right there.
Cool, okay.
Okay, so...
Okay, like so you designed this.
Yes. So I was in charge of designing the UX and the UI style for this game.
Okay.
And one of the big things that they stressed was that they wanted it to be simple and they wanted it out of the way, so it didn't like overtake the graphics of the actual game, which is understandable. This is a survival crafting game, and so I worked off of some initial like layouts from design. We had a few designers, and we'd get into a call, and they'd show us. Me and the art director were working together on this, and they'd show us some initial thoughts they had on things that they needed to see on the screen, and things that they would like to see, and some of their suggested layouts. So we'd talk about it. We'd say, like, does this actually need to be on the screen? How important is this? Would it be okay if we move these things here? How do you want these to pop up on the screen? Things like that. So then I would take everything from that meeting, and I would do like just a ton of my own iterations on what we had talked about, and I'd give them a bunch of different layout types. Might be an example on the, if you go back, the one next to it, that one actually has, if you scroll down, I have examples of what design gave me and some of the stuff that I did.
So when you say design gave you, you're talking about
The designers.
The designers who handle.
The designers had like an initial idea of things how they wanted the mechanics to work.
Yeah.
I would take their layout and I'd say, I think this could be improved on. And so I'd do like a ton of iterations on different layouts and suggestions for how buttons might work and things like that. I'd suggest how flow might work between different screens. They wanted everything to be really minimal and not like, they don't want you menu diving is what they were afraid of. So I had to make sure that everything was like pretty easy to access. And then we'd go through a bunch of iterations. So I'd show them what I thought, and then they'd have feedback on that. And we'd do a back and forth for a while. And then when they sign off on the layout, on how they thought, how they thought it should go, then I would start working on the UI. And I did a kind of the same process. The art director would have suggestions on styles that he wanted to see. And then I would take that feedback and I would draw up my own versions of what I thought it could be. And then I talked to him about it, and he'd do paint overs and and then we just kind of work back and forth. As far as the style for this game, they wanted something really, really simple, like minimal color, no design. So
I like this part.
Yeah, that's what design and I had come up with. So that's
Gotcha.
what I would get from design, is something like that. And then then I would just move the boxes around and I'd say, I think it would be better if it was laid out like this. And I made like so many of these and we would talk about this forever.
Even as an artist, you still have a lot of say when it comes to like layout and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, this is more UX, but since it was just me doing it, I had more say over how things would look and how things would be laid out and how the buttons would work and, what kind of bars we would have as far as like progress bars, things like that.
Looks like you got some love in the chat. Britt took the ideas from our design team and gave us different options. Without her, we wouldn't have established a UI framework. I'm assuming Andrea worked on this game too?
She is a designer on this game.
Okay. I was like, there you go. There you go. So I think that's important because we have a lot of people that just think if you're just going to be an artist or if you're just going to be an engineer and you're working on a game, you don't talk to anybody and you just do your own thing. And then, you kind of like do silos. Where I was at Blizzard, I definitely can tell you that's absolutely wrong. And it's interesting to hear, like, you do a lot of communication. So you have to work with people who sometimes are A-hats, right? Or
sure, that's any job.
Yeah.
Everybody's got an opinion, and we just got to navigate it together. And making a game is a total group effort. There's a lot of stuff I don't know, and I don't know what the intentions of design is. So when I make crazy suggestions, they'll say like, well, that completely goes against like what we're trying to do. So I'm like, all right, I'll back off of that. I understand what you're saying. Let me try and figure out and fit in what you guys are trying to do.
Yeah. Good question. Got a question here from chat. What advice would you give to someone who is from Wendy from LinkedIn? What advice would you give someone who is interested in UI UX but does not have an art background? That's a good question, Wendy. So, do you have to be an actual artist who can sketch or paint to actually do UI UX? Would you say?
I don't think so. I just have a different skill set. I come from an illustration background and kind of ended up in UI because the games I happen to have worked on were very illustration dependent. So a lot of stuff dealing with characters and their abilities and things like that. Like they wanted hand drawn like icons and banners and lots of things like that. But I mean, there's plenty of games that don't do very heavy art illustration stuff at all, and I think you can be totally successful in UI UX without having that background.
What would you say is like a key important thing to be UI UX designer? Would you you have to be organized? I think for me, as an outsider, I'm not UI UX, I'm not artist, obviously, but for UI UX, you have to be that person who solves puzzles and where things go together.
Yeah, you definitely have to. I think color theory, as far as like, that's
now. What is that? What is color theory for those who don't know?
As far as like, let's say like you color a button red versus coloring a button green. Like you'd think a red is bad and red is cancel, red is delete, things like that. It's just some, I don't know what you call that, but things like that are just some basic tools to have in your kit as far as like what are associated, like certain icons are associated with certain meanings as well. But knowing like what colors work together, I think is important. That might be something you need to invest some time into. There is art involved as far as like making a UI cohesive and look nice.
Yeah. Paul says from LinkedIn, collaboration, absolutely, collaboration is key. I want to bring it back to another previous question. I was kind of holding back on this question because I want to dive into where I know Art Amazon, which is this game here, Disney Sorcerer Arena. So Jose from Discord asked, since you worked at EA and Glu, which is owned by EA, what is the difference between making a mobile game to making a console game? And now Jose, when I knew Art, she was Glu Mobile, and so she wasn't EA at the time. And it was funny, and maybe you can share some stories too, Brittany, but when there was a game called Star Wars Galaxies, right?
Yeah.
Where it was another mobile game, and there was a lot.
You're talking about the mobile one? That's Galaxy of Heroes.
Galaxy of Heroes. Okay, Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes, right? And then there was designers and people that came from there over to Glu Mobile, right?
Yes.
That is great. Okay, yep. And then EA, so they left EA to come to Glu Mobile, and then EA purchased Glu Mobile, and they're like, "What the heck? I just left EA." But yeah, let's talk about that, right? What's the difference between mobile and console gaming? What can you share that's like, is it much difference? Is it a big difference?
I think there's a lot of differences, but I haven't worked on console, so but what I do know about mobile is, at least for designing UI and stuff, we were designing, at least for this particular game, I was a little more involved with the UX. You have to design for like infinite amounts of mobile devices. And there was times where it's like, well, Apple has a notch for the camera and it's going to block this part of the UI. So if we, like, most people that play this game are going to be playing on Apple, so we need to really, cater towards Apple users. So we'd make sure we move a button out of the way. So it might look a little off on other platforms, but that's kind of the compromise you have to make for different devices. There's also like some tech you can't use because it's too expensive and it'll blow up your phone and make it hot and on fire, and we don't want that. And there's like all sorts of stuff. Like you have to be aware of like file sizes. You don't want your game to be like super overloaded and too heavy with all your files you need. I mean, that's a pretty rudimentary description of the differences, but
the engine too, right? So you guys worked on what engine?
That was Unity.
Unity. And so most people know or don't know, Unity is commonly associated with mobile games. And why is that?
From what I understand, it's a little bit easier to do some of these things. I don't know if it's tailored more for that. You're asking me questions I don't know the answer to.
No, if you don't know, that's okay. And then Unreal is usually associated with the PCs and the consoles, right? And
Yes.
but I don't know what it was, but maybe I'm a huge Disney fan, or I came from that Star Wars other game.
Oh, did you?
And then I heard about this game, and then I was like, let me play this game. It's Star Wars. I mean, it's Disney's, a little bit more family friendly, a little bit more relaxed, because the other game was try hard, and people were spending thousands and thousands of dollars in that Star Wars game, and I was just like, I don't want to spend that much, so let me go over here. But I want to show. I took some screenshots. If I can share, Sabrina, you got a question?
Right.
And then Nick, hold on one second. Nick says UX writing is definitely a thing and sorely needed more and more. So true, my friend. Go ahead.
So could you tell us what a day-to-day looks like for UI UX designers?
Sure. You show up and you get your coffee, hang out with your friends, read some emails, make sure nobody's left you any messages that things are on fire. For me as a UI artist, stuff probably wasn't on fire. Usually have a stand-up meeting and we talk about what's needed for today and where you are in your project that you're working on. Let everybody know what you're doing, and if there's any blockers or anything, then you go and start work. Usually that's I was probably getting my emails together and seeing what people needed from me. Usually that's like a list of icons that need to be made, so you just sit there and crank those out for a while, hang out with your friends some more, eat some lunch, come back and work. Yeah, I mean, it's nothing usually pretty crazy, but there's a lot of just hanging out and talking about what you're doing, which doesn't sound like work, but it's always like showing somebody what you're doing and is this good? Is this what you want? Showing everybody who's a part of whatever project you're working on, if it's something that the designers needed, if it's something that engineers needed, you'd be talking to those people mostly.
Sounds like a pretty chill day, pretty chill job.
For the most part.
For the most part.
Unless stuff's on fire.
Wendy says, thank you. Recently read a book from Celia Hodent on UI UX and still looking to learn more. Color theory sounds interesting. I didn't know what color theory was too as well, Wendy.
Picking the right colors, make sure they go together and look nice and highlight the things you want.
Before we got a couple more questions coming from Discord, but I want to go over again where I personally knew.
Just nostalgia for you.
Nostalgia. She was one of the mods, and I was a little rambunctious in there with my friend groups. But art was always professional. But see, this is the kind of stuff that I liked. Like when I was playing the mobile game, like this was cool. And I guess this is on Steam, on console as well, where customization is so huge, even on Discord, right? People are spending money.
Yeah, I pushed for this because I love customization.
Yeah, and so I saw this. You use Photoshop for this?
Yeah. Some
Just
of it was
Photoshop,
Illustrator.
regular Photoshop.
Yeah. My friends were all using Illustrator, and I would use it sometimes with them, but I was so comfortable with Photoshop. I was like, I don't want to deal with Illustrator.
That's so cool. Yeah, because most people think that it would have been like Illustrator or just like some fancy tool, but you used regular OG Photoshop.
I don't know if that's good or not.
No, that's people want to hear that kind of stuff, It's
like, if it gets you there, then who cares?
See, and I would have never thought it was Photoshop.
Yeah, Photoshop's got like some basic vector tools, and that's what I liked to use.
So vectors. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Let's see. I want to show.
my taco.
So for those in ASGC Discord, there is an emoji in the ASGC Discord, the taco emoji. And little lore is our Amazon made this taco and I loved it. And I stole it from the DSA server and I had to put it into the ASGC server. And so if you guys are wondering where that taco came from, you're looking right at her. Here she is. So
And that came about because of a player. A player asked for that.
So I still hang out with Taco, by the way. I do. He's amazing. But yeah, so this wasn't even part of the game, right? This was
no, I don't think it was Taco who asked for it, was it? It was like a dad who was reading a Toy Story book to his kid, and this taco was in it, and he asked if we could put the taco in the game. And I was like, I absolutely want the taco in the game. So I asked people on the team if I could do it, and we asked Disney and got approvals, and I asked that guy for reference from the book that he got it from, and I got it through Disney approvals, and he got in the game.
because it was part of Toy Story. Right. So remember, Disney IP transcends everything. So she was able to do it legit, everyone. She didn't steal it. The other screenshot I wanted to share real quick before we got into questions is so there was a Disney show. It was called Behind the Scenes of Disney Studios, and I was watching it, or Disney Insider. It was called
right
Disney.
there.
There it is. And I remember watching it, and I just had to go on to Discord, and I was like, they were talking about Disney Sorcerer Arena, and then our Amazon was like, look, there's my hand. I was like, where's your face?
Not in there. That was actually my husband's workstation there too. They wanted some B-roll. So they're like, I don't know, point at it and turn Syndrome around.
Who's this? This is from Monster Inc., right?
I don't know what that is. I thought maybe it is.
But I think that's pretty cool because you can actually see what tool is this? 3D Max or
that's Unity.
Unity. Okay.
It's just a model viewer.
Model viewer. Yep. And I guess I'll share the last screenshot. So this was our Amazon's. You still have that profile picture, right? On your Discord.
Not equipped anymore.
Yeah. And the Meathead Militia. We would always make fun of him. He was the community manager. But he was super nice guy. So, all right, enough of nostalgia. Wendy says you can do a surprising number of things with Photoshop that normally are considered Illustrator. You are correct. Win says taco looks so cute. Yep. All right, so let's get into your questions. All right, Brianna from Discord asks a general question, but also for the speakers and artists, since my friends are artists as well. My friends are making a fantastic and really original side-scroller game here in New Mexico. I'm wondering what they need to get their demo pitched, seen by companies or indie studios. Is it all social media promotion or networking or a combination? It's a good question.
I mean, I'm not an expert on any of that stuff, but I would say as long as you're getting out there and talking to people, you need people to know that it exists. So whatever that takes. And probably a combination of all of those. You got to make sure you do your research and make sure you know what your game is too. Make sure it's clear. There's no mistake on what this game is.
Yeah.
All the advice I got, but I'm no expert.
No, and that's so true. I mean, it's also of who you worked with. I remember when we posted this announcement, Brittany's ex-coworkers came in and they were like, yay, Brittany. And they're like, she's an amazing hoodie designer. And I was like, what hoodie designer? So let's talk a little bit about that. You worked on a game and it was called Star Wars
Galaxy of Heroes.
Galaxy of Heroes. Here we go. Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. And so talk about that. So you made a hoodie for the team, or was it for the public?
It was. I don't know if I don't think he was a community manager at the time, but one of the guys on the team really wanted like something for the team that was just unique for us. He wanted to make a motorcycle like battle jacket type deal, but with the themed for our studio. So he wanted a Capital Games like biker jacket, and he came to me. I don't know why he came to me, but so we worked on that for a couple weeks on the design, and it ended up being like this wizard skeleton dude, but it was all like themed like a biker jacket. And I actually started putting patches on the sleeves of my hoodie representing all the games that I had worked on.
Oh, cool.
And then I saw like a lot of other people started wearing those hoodies, and it ended up being like just a cool thing. It was just something for the team and just kind of bonding stuff, fun things.
Yeah. Well, you know, Blizzard, they did the same thing. So I was on Team Overwatch, and we would get Overwatch jackets, and they were called dev jackets, but I would always try to steal and ask for a jacket.
Well, you gotta.
I mean, yeah, free swag. I mean, that's another perk working in, you know, gaming studios. I'm going to ask one more question. And I know, Sabrina, you want to ask one here too, but there's just so many questions coming in. So I want to make sure I go through them all. Mila asked for a question from Discord. How do you feel about using graphical asset packs in projects versus having dedicated artists on a team? Is it a good thing that places like Humble Bundle that sells cheap, massive assets? Or is it better for small teams? Was it hurting artists in the industry even before AI came in the picture? That's good. That's a good question.
We used them on Echoes of Elysium. I mean, most games that I've worked on also used outsourcing and asset packs, and I'd like, obviously as an artist I'd like to make everything myself, but sometimes that's just not possible. And if you can get a pack of something that looks close enough to what you probably would have done, and those packs are made by artists too, so you're supporting them too. But I think some small teams either don't have artists on the team and they have to buy packs, and I think that's fine too, because those are still made by artists. So I don't think that's a bad thing.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, so it's just more or less saving some time, but it is still with artists.
I was always slammed at work. There's just always so much work to do, and having something like some icons that, you know, I didn't have time to make, that was helpful.
So like one of these, like,
I mean, I made all those.
so you made all, okay.
I made all those myself.
Okay, let's get that straight.
Everything in this game and the Disney game was all handmade, mostly by me. But...
Represent. So this was all made by.
That was pretty much my only job on those games, because that's all I had time to do was that stuff. So it's very time consuming, and if you're a really small team, like, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Everyone's got. I've seen a lot of love in chat from Discord and LinkedIn. Everyone's loving your taco. By the way, so ironic when we talking about the taco art. I was looking at the taco merch on Square. Like, yeah, taco merch.
Gotta get your tacos.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
Let's see. While we're talking about the icons and stuff, how long does the icons take you to make in Photoshop?
One icon, I don't know, like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but usually I was doing, like, for one character, they would have maybe 5 or 6 icons of just their abilities, and then, at least for Disney, I also had like a full body portrait that I would make, and then I would have, like, sometimes they'd have consumables with them. So one character would probably take a couple days. The portrait would add a couple days to that, so about a week for each character.
Okay. These
So-
are really beautiful. I
Yeah,
just love
so I
Thank
was gonna
you.
say,
much. Yeah.
this is like your art style, right? Because Disney has an art style, right? And so you can tell it's a little bit different from normal Disney. So
This was all my fault. So originally they just wanted to use screenshots of the 3D models, but
Oh.
we didn't have high fidelity like HD models for in-store versions. By the end of the game, we had like high-res versions of those character models in the store for previewing and upgrading your character and stuff. But when we started and when I was doing these portraits, we only had the in-game low-res version of the models, and they were not the skinning on them was not great. So there was a lot of stuff that would break when you try to pose them in a certain way. So I tried cleaning up some early versions. I think Ariel was the first one I did, and I did a lot of paint over to try to make her look better, and I took some liberties with like her hair and the water effects and everything, and I suggested that for a portrait instead of just using the straight 3D model. And that kind of started an avalanche, and then I ended up having to do all of the portraits for the characters going forward, and which required a lot of extra Disney approval process. And I was posing them like the like promotional images of them. They started wanting me to do actual promotional image poses, so I had to do a lot of extra work because I decided I wanted them to look better. So
here they are.
Mm-hmm.
They are in the game. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So I love how. So that's another question I get from a lot of students is they do their portfolios, and especially for like AAA. So they do their portfolios and they do their own amazing custom art, their own unique design. But a lot of recruiters always push back and say, "Hey, if you were to create a Disney Ariel Little Mermaid game, show us your art style, copy it. It's not going to be as long as you don't trace it, it's going to be a little different flavor." And I guess most companies, they just kind of want to see, hey, can you copy this art style? Not to say that your art sucks, but can you copy this art style? Because guess what? You're working on a Disney game and we want to see if you can jump in with that art style. Does that make sense, or is that kind of
wait, what's the question?
So
is it okay to do that, or is that encouraged?
Yeah, I mean, would you say that's what, if you were to tell someone like Sabrina, who's an aspiring artist, like what would you say on her portfolio? Like what would you tell her to start doing on her portfolio?
I would say do art for your portfolio that matches the type of work you want to do.
That's what I was trying to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
So if you want to do horror games, I'm probably not a great fit because right now all of my portfolio professional stuff in here is a lot of comic book and Disney stuff.
I love that you have Space B and then you have Disney.
My friend would yell at me about my portfolio. I'm sure she would really hate my portfolio right now because it's all over the place. Yeah. But that would probably be my suggestion. If you want to do a certain type of game, I would show that type of work in your portfolio. Because I've definitely gotten feedback from interviews where they're like, I don't know if you can do this style because your portfolio does not show that.
Well, that's a good point, right? So I'm sure that if you were to go to another Disney game, they'll be like, yes, we'll pick that up. And so I guess for those who are aspiring out there, if you're going to go for a certain type of game, do make sure your portfolio has that certain type of artwork to at least see here. All right, we got to get through these questions. You guys are coming in hot fast, and we're just talking. Everybody's loving these art questions here. All right. Louise from Discord asked, what was your career path like getting into the game industry? How was it I think we talked about a little bit about that, Luis, but how was it learning UX from your artist background? Okay, we could talk about that. So how did you get into the UX portion, even though you're an artist?
Um, well, it's kind of hand in hand with UI. Um, I did a little bit on Sorcerer's Arena because my boss at the time, since I was hired to do UI on that game, um, we had a small team of 3 people. So it was my UX director and another UI artist, and then me. And the director wanted us to learn some more stuff, so he would give me these little projects to work on, and so he had me work on practicing UX for a player profile screen for Disney Sorcerer's Arena, and that was my first time actually doing something like that by myself. And he kind of guided me along with that, and I used all the tools, and I think I was using Adobe XD for that project.
Oh, okay.
And I had all the little buttons hooked up so you could click on the button in the wireframe and it would act like it should, and you could get a sense of the flow from that little prototype. And then after that, I was able to at least say that I did some UX, and I ended up on Echoes of Elysium, and I was hired to do UI UX for that, and I was the only person doing that. So that was my first time actually getting thrown into the deep end for that. I've never designed that much UX in my life, but I think it came out okay.
Yeah, it came out excellent.
But I had a lot of support. I had engineers, I had design, I had the art director. Everybody was backing me up. So that's important too.
Yeah. All right. Next question from Discord. Or not a question, a comment. At least y'all aren't weird like me using After Effects for things I should be doing in PS.
And you can do some cool stuff in After Effects. My other UI friend from Sorcerer's Arena, he like only used After Effects, and he was making beautiful stuff in there. So it's just a tool. You can do lots of things with whatever tools. You
Yeah.
can draw amazing pictures in sand. Like, it doesn't matter.
Would you say it's like the difference between like Apple and PC? Is it such a huge difference?
I mean, they're just different tools.
Like, is one easier to like get? Okay,
I think that's
Brittany,
like
go ahead and
up to the
create this.
person.
Go ahead and create this. You know, and so if a person was using After Effects versus Photoshop, like who would get it done first?
I mean, like I said, they're just tools. Like, it depends on what you're doing and how comfortable you are in that tool.
Gotcha.
Like, I don't know that. Like, I mean, yeah, After Effects. I mean, I usually only use that for video stuff, but it's just the tools.
All right.
You're asking.
All right, audience. All right, chat. So you heard it here first. It doesn't matter about the tool. It matters about the artist, how fast they can do it.
Well, what your goal is with it? Like, is it going to get you to the same place in the end? Then it doesn't super matter.
All right, next question. Ryan from Discord asks, with your experience in UX, what change had the biggest positive impact on the player experience and why? That's a really nerdy question.
Oh, man. Oh, boy, I got to reach back. Okay.
That's a good question, though. I'm not making
it is a good question.
It's a great question, but it's a really nerdy question. It's a good question.
Oh, possibly the crafting system in Echoes of Elysium.
Crafting system.
Because those can get like so crazy so fast. So I've tried to I don't think I have any on my art station here, but I think trying to design crafting in a way that's like easy to understand when you're first looking at it, versus like, I have a problem looking at some UIs and UXs that look like spreadsheets. My brain just turns off and doesn't want to comprehend what I'm looking at. So I like things that are big and bold and driven by like images and things like that. So I try to design that way, and I hope that the players appreciated that, because I try to make it easy, because I don't want to look at words all the time.
Yeah, you don't want to look at words.
I get overwhelmed, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. Do people use a lot of spreadsheets? Is that what you're saying?
Well, if you design, there's some UXs in some games where it looks like you're reading a spreadsheet.
Gotcha. Yeah.
That's all my friends talking in
It's
here.
all your friends. Oh, I think we already talked about that one. Oh, we got. There's so many comments I'm going through. All right, here's another one. What are your opinions on small teams without as much artist support, making use of their limitations and making games of very simple art? Have you worked on a project that chose a simpler art style on purpose, even though they could have done something more elaborate?
I would say Echoes is one where they decided they wanted a simpler style.
And you pushed for it?
I didn't push for it. When I came onto the project, they had already had like this art style established. And the limitations were they were a very small team, and they had people who could push it to AAA graphics and stuff, but they didn't have the time, they didn't have the budget, they didn't have
This still looks good. I mean, this still looks good for like this could be this
yeah,
is
there's some really amazing games that even are simpler than this, and I think if you have really good art direction, then a lot of that can be forgiven. If you have really good animation, that can, that makes up for a lot of like, simple looking things, or whatever. I think animation is like really important. Art direction probably above anything else, especially if you're like picking art assets out of a like a store, a marketplace, making sure the packs that you're picking actually go together. You don't want like realistic trees and then like cartoony characters or something.
yeah.
And then you have like hand drawn icons or something. You don't, try to make them match as best as you can.
This is cool. This screen right here is cool.
Oh, there's some examples. Yeah, that's the stuff I did. So this is after I get like those white box stuff we saw earlier. That was from design. And then this is what I did with their designs. And I would break it out and go a little more detailed. And then I do like a ton of iterations and have different layouts. Sometimes I move the health bar to the top, and I move all the buttons, I don't know, around in different layouts. I had the health bar going vertical at one point. I had it in the middle of the screen. And we just try stuff. And
okay. So you talk to the design team. Do you ever get to interface with like the engineers? Do they ever come on board and be like, no, don't move that because it'll make us do more work?
Oh yeah, they're always telling me no, but you got to put it out there. Here's my crazy idea, and you tell me if we can do it or not.
So who says no more, design or engineers?
Usually engineers.
Engineers. Yeah.
But that's understandable. I get it, I guess. But I want to do crazy stuff. Let me do it.
Yeah,
I worked with engineers to do like the guy I worked with, he was basically a UX engineer. So we worked together, and I'd say, can we do this? Can we do this? And he'd say, yeah, we're going to have to do this though. You might have to move this, it's just more collaboration.
So when you do collaboration, do you huddle, in an office, or do you huddle in Slack? What's your collaboration looking like?
Both. I mean, when I was in an office, you could just turn around and talk to them, or walk over to their desk, or you have a formal meeting with them if it's like a lot of people that need to be in there. Usually I don't bother the engineers unless it's like something big. If it's a new feature we're doing, then they'll be involved.
Yeah.
But otherwise it's like I'll probably just have a quick question. I can just go bug them either on Slack or walk over to them, whichever.
Yep. All right, let's go through another question here. There's a lot of them. All right, what is your favorite thing to create for a game? What is your favorite to create outside of games?
Any type of illustration. I loved doing icons for characters, and I loved doing splash screens. And I worked on a superhero game that was all like card collecting. That was probably my favorite game to work on because it was like just tons and tons of illustration. And
Did you work on Paragon?
no, I was just really into Paragon at the time.
Okay. Well, that's what we talked about earlier. Is can you match? Yeah. So okay, match who you like or what you want to create for. So Photoshop, 3ds. And what is your favorite So you talked about outside of games a little bit. Can you explain what do you like to make outside of games?
I have a lot of comics here. I love making comics. I love doing big, big splash pages. I like those. I just like illustrations.
Illustrations. Okay.
Illustration and comics.
Oh, can we look at her backgrounds for the Disney Socials Arena? Those are really beautiful.
Everyone loves the Disney's. I'm seeing a lot of
They're
that
so
in chat.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I love them so much.
Oh, this is cool. This is a little animation here. How involved were you in the animation part?
Well, your image is covering the screen.
Oh, sorry. The question is covering.
No, what was the question? What?
How involved were you in the animation of this?
That was all me. This was just supposed to be concepts for whatever, like revealing rewards, but I was getting frustrated drawing all the little steps in how it would reveal. So I'm like, it'd be easier if I just animated it. So I made these little animations.
I remember these animations playing this game.
But they didn't ask me to do this. I just thought it'd be easier for me to explain what I was thinking if I just animated it.
Yeah. All right, quick question. So would you say it's important to organize your public portfolio, like a cohesive theme with tabs for like a mid-career artist who handle a lot of smarter projects, maybe game jams, some personal sketches? How do you choose what to include and what not to include? Let's say you pick a couple of ideal employers, still try to apply some variety of positions, multiple studios, etc., etc.
I categorized mine by what the art type was. So I have a section for just UI, and that's the link that I send to companies when I'm applying for UI only stuff. But I also have like a whole section of just like sequential comic book style art, and I have sections for 3D and concept art, because there's some positions that want you to know that stuff too. So for me personally, since I have a lot to show for those things, that's how I categorize it. Some people categorize by games they worked on. As far as picking good stuff, you just have to go through it and say like, this really is not helping. Like I did, this doesn't look great compared to this stuff. Always show your most recent stuff too. Yeah, and you probably don't want to overwhelm people with everything, because if there's one thing that comes out that's not looking as good as the other stuff, people tend to remember how bad that looked. So it's best to just get rid of that.
Yeah, good answers here. All right, Jose from Discord. When applying for artist roles, what does an employer expect to see from an art style?
I think a lot of the time they want to see finished stuff and they want to see your process.
Yeah, the process. I was gonna thank you for bringing that up.
Hey, you're a recruiter. What do you look for?
Well, I'm getting your perspective. I know the answer. Yeah, so this is the styles that we're looking for. We're looking for critical thinking process, and I love how Brittany does her critical thinking process here, and I love her. I really like is that your hand sketch?
Yeah, that's just me writing on there. And that came from the superhero game. And my friend is watching right now, and he's the one that told me to do that. So
Great choice. Honestly. But yeah, like the wireframes, I usually tell people to do, or the sketches. This is a perfect example. The only thing I would probably say, Brittany, is just to add a color at the very bottom, like you said, the very final. But this is fine too. Like I'm just nitpicking. So
That's good.
Photoshop and 3ds Max. Okay, so another question. Often you have assets created in one tool over the others, and so go with that on the tools discussion. So, well, that's not a question, but I guess that's Wendy commenting, saying you have assets created in one tool over
Yes.
the others.
I mean, they're like the DSA, the Sorcerer's Arena game. Like half of my team was using Illustrator, and I was using Photoshop. And I started adopting Illustrator because all of the bulk of everything was done in Illustrator. So I was like, I'll convert. I'll start learning it a little better so I can do stuff with you guys and add stuff into your files. It's good, I think, to try to keep the same tools, but I mean, ultimately, the stuff that's going in here is going to be PNGs. So, like, it doesn't really matter what tool in that particular case.
I just noticed something. So it's like this is a gotcha game, as you can tell. There's a $99 chest here, but there's a lot of free stuff too. And one of the things I loved that Meathead, the community manager, he would always try to promote, like, you don't have to spend $1 on this game, even though he should be promoting spend money because he works for that company. But he would always say, you know, you don't have to spend $1 in this game. If you want to, you can, because we used to call them whales. Whales is what would drive a mobile gotcha game, really paying their salaries. They'll spend thousands and thousands of dollars.
We thank the whales.
The whales, and it's so funny. Everyone knows about the whales. But all right, we're wrapping up here. Wow, we just went through a whole bunch of questions. Thank you so much. We're gonna end it off with Sabrina. One last question from you, and then we'll wrap up.
Right. Let's see. I still have a bunch of questions left.
That's the one. No pressure.
Yeah. Oh, right. The backgrounds you created for Disney Sorcerer's Arena are absolutely breathtaking.
Thank you.
Piece with the light streaming through the rocky mountain landscape especially stood out to me. There's such a sense of magic and beauty in that artwork. Which character was that background designed for?
I'm trying to find it for you.
Go back. I'll tell you.
Oh, you know where it's at? Oh, yeah. Okay.
It's that Hercules God Gate thing down there. Go down. Go down. Down. Scroll. Scroll. It's under okay, up.
To the
there you go. There you go. The Hercules Gate. All right.
Oh, the background.
We made it.
The background.
Go down. Go down.
Wow.
Don't look at those. This one. Yes.
Yep.
Okay, go back. You're scrolling too far.
Which one?
Go up. Go up.
That one. Stop down.
This one?
Yes.
Okay.
This was for Raya.
Oh, Raya.
Right. Oh, okay.
Raya. The dragon movie, right?
Yes. Did it have more of a name than that? Raya and the Last Dragon.
Yeah, the Last Dragon.
Like something with a dragon. Yes, that's what this was for.
And you did this on Photoshop?
Yes, this was Photoshop.
Wow.
That was all vector Photoshop.
It's amazing. So you can still make stuff look modern using vector Photoshop.
Yeah. It is possible.
So many great comments, and we are at time, everyone. Wow, it's been super fun. I gotta say, this has been one of the fun co-hosts that I've done because we get to actually look at Brittany's like design, and we go through it and kind of pick her brain and why she went this route and why she went that route. She was super transparent with us, saying, "Here's what I do at the office. I just drink coffee and do this."
Too transparent.
and that's an artist, everyone. So for those who are curious and who get to watch this on YouTube later or get to watch this on Discord later, there you go. Hopefully you can peel back some layers and see what an artist's day in life is. Brittany, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Coming on. My nostalgia friend back in the day. I had to get her on. She asked me, she said, Justin, you can get any artist, a recruiter. You know a lot of artists. Why did you pick me? I said, Art, I have to give it up to you. You know, those art styles stood out to me, especially the taco, because we still use that in the ASGC.
He's treasured.
So we got to give credit where it's due, the art queen. So everyone give it up for Brittany. She's just been super amazing. Thank you. Co-hosting as well. It's been super fun. And for out there in the LinkedIn audience and the Discord audience, Wendy says, love going through her portfolio. Thank you. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And we'll hopefully be back next week with Amir coming back after travels. And then, as always, there's open networking in the voice channel in the Discord. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for your time. Hope you had a wonderful time here, and we'll see you again here soon.